Morning, Fibro Warriors. It's been kind of an interesting last 24 hours, with everything that's going on right now, right? With the election, with politics. So the stress can get fairly bad. I know a number of people who have gotten pretty stressed out over the election, and basically the whole scene in our country is in right now, right? So it really begs the question, what is that stress doing to us, and what can we do about it? Now, obviously, we can't change the fact that we are in a pandemic. We can't change the fact that politics is a continuously divided and hot issue, but clearly these and other stressors can have a prominent impact on us. Now, when we get stressed like this, it causes a variety of reactions within the body. First of all, when you have a fight or flight type response, your body will get flooded with hormones such as epinephrine, norepinephrine. This is, this as adrenaline or noradrenaline. And these are telling your body to ramp up, to prepare to either run for your life or fight like hell in order to save yourself, right? Now, your heart rate will elevate, your muscles will produce more energy, become stronger and faster, your digestion will slow or even stop altogether to divert all your available energy to dealing with the perceived threat, okay? Now, this is an incredible response. It's remarkable. It's a remarkable feat that the body goes through this, and it is designed to save your life. Now imagine being attacked by an animal or some assailant. You would need this dramatic increase in energy in order to protect and save yourself. But in the absence of such a threat, we're left without the need to flee or to fight for our lives. So many times we have these reactions while we're seated or while we're maybe in a stressful situation or a stressful meeting of some sort. And in places where fighting or running is just not an option. It's not going to do us any good. So actions could cost you your job. They could cost you your relationships, your credibility, right? If you were to do that. And so what do we do about this? We don't use this incredible energy that our body is delivering to us, but it is still there and it has to be used. So all this extra energy in your muscles starts to cause your muscles to tense up. It might make your shoulders and neck become more tense, which could lead to chronic neck and upper back pain, or maybe even headaches. And as it progresses, it will decrease your ability to move fluidly, which could even affect your balance over time. It can make your legs more stiff, especially if you are getting in these fight or flight responses while you are seated. It may be that you don't notice it right away. Very often people don't. They have these responses over and over again, and they gradually get more and more stiff over time without them even realizing it. And maybe you just notice that you're a little bit jittery or that your legs don't seem to want to sit still, but you do anyways. Now later, when you finally get up, you notice how stiff your legs and your hips and your low back have gotten. And it might seem like a momentary discomfort, but the truth is that this stiffness affects the way that you walk. And with all that stiffness in the small muscles in your feet, your legs, your knees, around your hips, it starts to cause you to move differently. And this change is often not even noticeable at first. But each step you take starts to put pressure on your knees, on your hips, and on the joints along your spine. And the impact of these, what would be normal movements, would usually be absorbed by your muscles and your body's normal movement patterns. But since these muscles are stiff and not moving optimally, it changes how you move and later becomes a major cause of things like arthritis, chronic pain, and potentially will result in something like a joint replacement. I mean, just think about, some of the stereotypical thoughts of how we age. We become a little bit more hunched over. We don't move very well. We don't move fluidly. This isn't a process that just suddenly happens one day. It happens gradually over time. These muscles get more and more stiff the older we get. And so our movement patterns start to change. Our joints start to bear the brunt of this movement. And pretty soon you're not moving very well because every movement seems to hurt. Now don't forget that this fight or flight response also increased your heart rate. And with repeated stressful events like this, especially without a proper outlet and without dealing with the issues themselves, this will cause a repeated assault on the cardiovascular system, which causes inflammation. This is where a lot of our cholesterol problems come from. It's not that we're just consuming cholesterol, it's that we're causing damage to the blood vessels through our stress, through our diets. And all this inflammation has to be dealt with. Our body sends that cholesterol there to protect our blood vessels, to protect us. Really, the inflammation itself is where the problem is at. So you've got these repeated assaults in the cardiovascular system. You're increasing inflammation. It's causing damage. This will increase your tendency towards things like high blood pressure or a heart attack or even a stroke. And of course, I mentioned the digestive system before, which was blunted due to this stress response. And this can throw the digestion into years of turmoil. This sudden halting of the digestion can give you rise to things like constipation, difficulty having a bowel movement, indigestion, acid reflux, irritable bowel syndrome. And often we see this with people. They'll get this problem of alternating, they'll be constipated and then they'll have diarrhea, and they'll go back and forth between these things. This impact on the gut also interferes with very important neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which are primarily made in the gut. And these hormones are responsible for our sense of health and our sense of well-being. And without these, we are further predisposed to stressful reactions such as the fight or flight response. So it becomes, again, this vicious repeating cycle that perpetuates itself unless you find a way to break that chain, to break that cycle. And what's even more scary is that this is really just a piece of the stress response. This doesn't get into the potential nerve damage and organ damage that might be caused by ongoing stress. And I'll cover that at another time. So what can we do about this? How can we combat this awful cycle? And at the very heart of it is it's all largely how we choose to perceive events and how much we attach ourselves to those events. So for example, if you believe that if the person you voted for loses, it will be the end of the world, then the whole process of the election could send you into days of mental anguish, sleepless nights, fitful nights, and cause all the damages I just described. Or maybe you believe that you are in charge of your life and that the person who gets elected is really only a small detail. And then you will likely not have any more than fleeting thoughts about the whole process, and surely not the extreme turmoil of the former situation I described. You see, how these events unfold may not be within our power, because it's not. But we do have the power, and it is an incredible power to choose how we think and how we perceive the events in our lives. We have the power to decide literally at any moment how we want to view the world. We have the power to decide at any moment how we will allow certain things to affect us. We have the power to control our beliefs. We have the power to decide what empowers us and what disempowers us. And the truth is, this power is something that each and every one of us has the ability to take charge of at literally any moment of our lives. Yes, there are other techniques that I could share with you, but truthfully, I think this is probably one of the most important, especially given what's going on currently. So, something for you to think about today. Decide what is important and how you choose to live your life and how you choose to think about life.